Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Arabic steps to understanding the Qur'an, of course, that's going to be starting inshallah tomorrow, which is Wednesday the 30th of April. And one of the books which is helpful and useful for a course like this is this very small booklet called 80% of Quranic Words. Now, it's classified word list for easy memorization. Now, I don't believe that you can actually learn and to understand the Arabic Quran by memorizing all of these words. However, it's useful. How is it useful? So, first of all, it divides the word lists into three categories, which are huruf, then ism, and then fi'l, which are particles, and then nouns, and then verbs. And these are the three categories of words in the Arabic language. Every word in the Arabic language comes underneath one of these three categories. And if you look, what does it do? Let's go to nouns on page 7. It starts off by giving you a list of nouns, as you can see here. And on these nouns, next to it will tell you how often or how frequent that noun comes up in the Qur'an. Now, for example, it starts off by saying some attributes of Allah, and it says Khabir, and that comes up 45 times. And then Rabb, obviously, you expect that to come up a lot, and it does. It comes up 970 times in the Quran, the word Rabb. So obviously, if you know the meaning of the word Rabb, right, that means you've learned 970 places where that word comes up. And then as another example, for example, what I would do is take this booklet and look at the words which come up 100 times or more. Start off with nouns. Rasul, everybody knows what that means, messenger, right? It comes up 332 times. There might be words that you might not know what they mean, and they come up a lot. Okay, Sama, which means sky, 310 times, most people know that. Ayah, 382 times, right? And then there's some words that come up a lot, but you might not know the meaning. They don't come up, they come up just under 100 times, right? Or they come up less than that, but it's a common word, right? For example, mithaq. Mithaq comes up 25 times in the Quran. It means covenant or treaty. And there's other examples of that. So it speaks, and then the other good thing is when it categorizes the words at the top, you can see it also gives you the type of the theme, okay? So for example, relatives, the self, body parts, deeds, blessings, right? For example, it will give you as it pertains to body parts, absar, which is a plural of sights, world, people, and then it goes on to verbs. On page 15 onwards, it's all verbs. So it gives you the most commonly repeated verbs. On the side here, it tells you the number. So this is a book called Quranic Words, 80%. Another book, which I've had for ages, and it's useful for learning grammar, because this is just vocab lists. That's a vocab list. This is grammar. It's called Access to Quranic Arabic, and there's 3 books. There's a textbook, there's a workbook, and there's a handwriting book from what I remember. What does this author do? And in the beginning it says how to use the book, and the benefits of this book specifically is in addition to the word lists at the beginning of every chapter, if you wanted to just memorize or reference it like an actual dictionary, each unit teaches you grammar on one side of the book, and on the other side of the book it gives you examples of that grammar from the Quran, with words from the Quran specifically, and it gives you some notes, and to be honest with you, it's quite a nice book. So for example, if you look at unit 1 here, in this top corner it tells you nouns, pronouns and adjectives, masculine. So there's a grammar. It speaks about nouns down here. It gives you the grammar, gives you examples. And then over here on the other page, it gives you those words, phrases, whole sentences or phrases from the Quran using those words. Like, huwa Qur'anun, it is a Quran, right? Underneath, it has notes, right? So notes for text above, sentences about verbs, so little important notes to fill in the gaps. And also it has these nice small little boxes at the side as well that give you lessons like sabrun jamilun, right? Which sabr is beautiful. We translate the word sabr as patience in line 15 opposite. However, sabr has a much wider meaning. So it starts to give you something of the depth of the language, of the Arabic language, and understanding the Qur'an, because it says it has this sense of courage and firmness, endurance and perseverance. Sabr is mentioned many times in the Qur'an. It's an important quality of a believer, in God, right? A believer in Allah. Right, so it has those small little nuggets as well, which gives you in-depth and deeper meaning. This is called Access to Quranic Arabic. This is one of the books I'll be using teaching this course. This is another one of the books. And there are some other books as well, resources that you can get if you want to self-study. I haven't gone through all of them, but they're similar to Access to Quranic Arabic, but a bit bigger. This one, Arabic through the Qur'an, Alan Jones. He does a similar thing where he mentions the grammar and then he gives you examples from the Qur'an, Ulaika Ashabun Nar, and it gives you the reference here, translate that. So it gives you translation exercises, which is also always very important. So these are some of the books. There's another book as well, Learning Quranic Arabic for Complete Beginners. What's nice about this book specifically, which I'd recommend, is a step-by-step self-teaching guide. Maybe you can't get on a course. This is going to help you to the Arabic language of the Qur'an. And what I really do like about this book is how nice and big it is. Have a look at that. Lesson 1, Al-Fatiha, right? And then he speaks about, above there's the first verse of the Qur'an, which translates as it, and it mentions the Bismillah, what it translates at. Then it starts to break it down, each one, for example here, Bismi, and then he puts the harakat on afterwards, so it's without the harakat, then with the harakat, then he breaks that even singular, each one beat. Right, so it's really broken down. Look at that. Just the scene, and then the scene of the sukoon, and he really takes you through it, literally step by step, self-teaching for complete beginners. Again, I'm just speaking about, it's an Arabic language course. As for some of the meanings and stuff like that, then you'll have to really look into it. Inshallah, during this course, we're going to be using some of this as well. Here, if we go to, for example, right in the middle, it gets a bit harder. It starts off very basic, gets a bit long. Surah Al-Hadid, lesson number 31, for example. And then it gives you the ayah at the top with the transliteration and the translation. Maybe transliteration isn't a good idea, because by lesson 31 you should be reading purely Arabic. However, he does it anyway. It says, Yunadunahum alam nakum ma'akum qalu bala. They called to them, were we not with you? They said, rather, yes. Transliteration, pronunciation, right? Yunadunahum, they call them. Alam nakun, were we not? Ma'akum, right? And then he says, above, the hypocrites are calling the believers who respond to them. So he breaks it down. The verb, nada, yunadi, nida. And this is really nice. This is where the grammar comes in, right? Past tense verb, nada, present tense, yunadi, nida, the mustard or the ism from it, the noun from it. Nadu, yunaduna. And then it shows you the plural, right? Because it says yunadunahum, right? It uses a plural. Bala is a response that means rather, yes, rather, I did. It negates the statement it responds to. For example, alam na'kul bala. It gives you examples. So there's grammar there. And it's nice and simple, very big fun, easy to read. This is another book which is recommended. So these are 3 or 4 books. For some of them, step-by-step self-teaching. Some of them, you need a teacher. But generally speaking, what makes these books distinguished is that it's connected to verses or words or phrases from the Qur'an specifically. So you're connecting your Arabic language to what you'll be memorizing of the Qur'an. Here's a small task, a little test for all of you. Open the most recent surah that you've memorized. Read it in English and try to locate, number 1, the nouns, number 2, the verbs, and separate them and see what the nouns are. And then after that, you can ask yourself another question: is this a singular? Is this a plural? Is it a first person speaker? Or is it third person, spoken about, second person spoken to? And just by that way, you're able to kind of start reflecting over the meanings of the Qur'an. Inshallah, if you're joining the course, I look forward to seeing you. If you're not, then inshallah, perhaps this course will be taught online sometime in the future. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.